Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to, I would ask you to please mute your microphones and welcome to Purbayan's Newcomers Meet 2024. My name is Dr. Sutama Ghosh. I am an associate professor in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies at Toronto Metropolitan University. This particular meet is going to be shown with your consent, of course, to our MA students who are and PhD students who actually take immigration and settlement studies. So that is one of the things. The other thing I want to tell you about is that I today wear a different hat. I'm not a professor. I am a part or a member of Purbayan Canada. Purbayan Canada is a grassroots level organization which has been working for new immigrants to settle well in the GTA for the last 11 years. So it's been a long time that they've been at it. We do provide a lot of free these sort of newcomers meets on housing, on legal advice, on finances, but also on careers. So after this session is primarily on housing and legal and financial advice. There will be immediately followed by another session, which is primarily on careers. And here we are concentrating on engineering and healthcare. There's another session which we have recorded as well, which you can see is on people who actually have arts or social science degrees. So there are two career studies or career advice sessions, and this session, of course, is on housing, which is, as you know, a very important topic. Since we all work in the city of Mississauga, I'm going to now read the land acknowledgement and the statement of reconciliation. The city of Mississauga is located on lands that have been occupied by numerous indigenous nations since time immemorial. Settlement and the eventual growth of the city was made possible with the signing of treaties over 200 years ago. We acknowledge the lands that constitute the present-day city of Mississauga as being part of the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat and the Wyandot nations. We recognize these people and their ancestors as peoples who inhabited these lands since time immemorial. The city of Mississauga is home to many global indigenous peoples. As a municipality, the city of Mississauga is actively working toward reconciliation by confronting our past and our present, providing space for Indigenous peoples within their territory to recognize and uphold their treaty rights and to support Indigenous peoples. We formally recognize that the Anishinaabe origins of our name and continue to make Mississauga a safe space for all Indigenous peoples. So with that, this is not just a statement. We really need to think about this. And so thank you all for joining this session, which I said before, will be conducted by Obik Chakraborty, and I will be here to assist. Thank you.
Hello, hi, everyone, and welcome to Purbayan's Newcomers Meet of 2024. I have with me three of the eminent guests, Dave, Nitin, and Ramnik. So I will request first Dave to introduce himself.
Hi, Abhi. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone who is there on the call. And I'm part of Purbayan family as well, and also I've been doing real estate in this area for quite some time. covering quite a lot of geographic area. So just to give you a quick introduction so that you know who you are talking with, I am part of Royal LePage Signature, which is Canada's biggest real estate company. And we are doing representing top 3% of realtors within the company. We do large volume of real estate. And always the idea is to help all the newcomers with getting their home to a journey where they own a home. So anything regarding, when you come in this country, I think there's a lot that you need to know. So we'll try to shed more light on that. Also, other than that, I'm a father of two child and a lovely family, and hope to see you soon in some events that Purbayan organizes.
Thank you. That's a great introduction, Dave. I will get back to you with, we have lots of questions for you. The
Thank you.
newcomers would love to hear from you a lot. Now I will ask Nitin to give a brief introduction of yourself.
Thank you, Avik, and hello to everyone. Very good evening to all of you. Well, my name is Nitin. I work with National Bank of Canada and I do mortgages here. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, a total banking experience of roughly 20 years, with National Bank about 4.5. I've kind of been in all kinds of verticals with multiple banks, corporate banking, retail, and now again retail, which is mortgages again. Well, I do work very closely with a lot of newcomers, first-time home buyers, kind of help them realize the dream of buying a house in Canada. There are a lot of scenarios which we would obviously discuss over multiple questions that you might all have. So yeah, well, I'm just based out of Mississauga. I handle a couple of offices there, branches, I would say. And yeah, if you guys ever want to meet up with me, we can always catch up and have a round of discussion as to how your mortgage would work for you guys. So yeah, that's about me, and yeah, I'm very much available. Do reach out.
Thank you, Nitin. And
You.
we have also a few questions lined up for you.
Awesome.
I'll move on to Ramnik. Ramnik, if you can introduce yourself, please. You're on mute, Ramnik. Can you please unmute yourself?
It's perfect.
Yeah, I can hear. We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Hi guys, my name is Ramnik, and I'm a lawyer practicing real estate law in Mississauga. I've been practicing for about, I would say about 10 to 11 years now. My primary area of practice are residential and commercial real estate. So if you guys have any questions related to legal formalities when buying a property, I'm the guy to answer.
Okay, thank you and welcome on board.
Thank you.
I will first reach out to Dave. So since any process starts with the real estate agents, so let's get started with him only. So Dave, just wanted to know, how can you help the newcomers in finding a new home? So maybe it's usually people, when they land here first, they look for the rentals. So how can you help them primarily?
Well, very good question, Abik. So obviously the journey begins with finding a right home where you can live. The process is very simple. You have to go in for a rental application. You need to have a good credit. Then you might have an interview with the landlord, and there are certain criteria that you have to fulfill, and then you get the house that you want. Now, I'll discuss certain points wherein I see a lot of newcomers are facing problem, right? When you are new in this country, what happens? Your credit is very new, so you do not have any history for a credit history. So a lot of landlords, they want to get somebody in their house with a proper credit history, credit score, and everything. What you can do, if you are a lot of newcomers that I see, they are also moving from US. So if you are moving from US, then you can have the credit history from US and use that here. That helps. If not, then there are a couple of other things that you can do. A very important thing is you need to have a source of income. It can be a full-time job, it can be a business, but some stable source of income that you need to cite to the landlord so that they are assured that you are going to pay the rent. And the rent that you are taking, that has to be a particular part of it, right? That is one. If another point that you might consider is if you are new and you do not, and you are not coming from maybe India or some other part of the world, in that case, unfortunately in this country, people are a little skeptical, like they do not consider the credit reports or scores coming out of those places. So in that case, if you have any family member, if you have a friend, if you know anybody within the country, you can get them as a co-signer or maybe a guarantor. That can help. Obviously, these are two key points that I would mention. If you are landing, you do not have a job, you do not know anybody in this country. The only thing I always try to tell my clients or maybe any newcomer is that be very open while providing information or in an interview. Don't try to just tell them anything you think that they might want to hear. Because if you are open, you tell it very openly what is your situation, the landlord might accept your application. Okay, there is something. So when you're going in this rental process, ideally you have to give the first and the last month as deposits for rental. That's by books and that's the law. But understand in this process, what we are trying to do is to assure the landlord that, hey, listen, I'm going to pay, I'm coming out from a good background and all of that. So at times you might just kind of volunteer some extra deposits so that he is assured that you do not have any wrong intention. Unfortunately, what we have seen over years, in this country, you have to know your rights because tenants, they have a lot of rights, and landlords gets little kind of fearful that if I give it to a wrong person, he might not leave. And already our landlord and tenancy boards are very, very overwhelmed with those eviction cases. So in short, it's simple. Is just keep it straight, like just say what you are basically, and you try to provide as much information as you can so that the landlord is assured that, okay, this person is good for my house.
Okay, good to know. So one disclaimer, I think this law is applicable for Ontario, right? It's not for the
This
other
is
provinces. That's
no,
for
this is
Ontario.
I'm talking about Ontario. Yes,
Okay.
other provinces also it's hovers around the same thing. It's very similar anywhere in Canada.
Okay, sounds good. And I've seen that many newcomers, when they come, they go for Kijiji and try to do it by themselves, right? So where exactly your role come there?
Well, you can do all of that. Look, I will say in Canada, real estate market is very open. It's all public information. You can get everything online. Okay, but if you go for such kind of thing, you might land up in a good deal. I'm not denying that, but there is a lot of scam going, right? Do not pay anybody online unless you have seen the place, unless you have met the owner yourself. You know that what you are doing, you are confident of, and you can pay the money. You can pay a small deposit, and you can pay the money when you are moving in. So those things you can do, but truly speaking, you are not really paying any real estate agent when you are going through them. Okay, this is all part. The landlords are trying to save their money. Understand that when they put it on Kijiji, when they put it on somewhere else, they are trying to save maybe a commission that for themselves, because they are paying, you are not paying. Okay, so you have to be a little careful when you go that way. Rest, I think you have a very legal channel where you can go. You can go visit a real estate company, which is a proper, legit, renowned company. You can meet the person, you can see where he works, what he does, and what are his intentions. You can gauge that, and then you can go from there, because that is more secured way of getting something for yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Dave. So all the things that we discussed so far are mainly meant for the rentals. Now coming to buying your dream home. So when do you think it's the ideal time in terms of when a person lands in Canada and at the time when he plans to buy a home?
Okay, before that, before we jump in, because most of the people who are coming, I think they are more concerned of how I'm going to settle down in the rental. One point I think I would like to mention is, I think, the rent control buildings. Okay, what we have seen in past, a lot of landlords, they are increasing the rents over your crazy. Like, they might ask for anything from you. If you are not able to pay, then they might evict you, or they might tell you to leave the place. Okay, so one important point that I want to mention here is, any building that is occupied after 15th of November 2018, they do not have a rent control. But 70% of the buildings that you see in Ontario, they are before that, occupied before that. So they are pretty much under a government rent control. As long as you know, and you can kind of negotiate this with your landlord, I think you will be in a better place. Now, those buildings which are not under rent control, they, in the first year of your tenancy, say when you are going in for a tenancy, you have 1 year of fixed tenancy, right? During that time, they cannot increase your rent or renegotiate anything. They have to honor whatever they have agreed to. So be very careful. This happens quite often when there's a new immigrant, newcomer in this country coming in and taking the apartment. Landlord might try to play a trick on you. So be 100% sure there. Yeah, coming back to your
So
question.
1 second, Dave, sorry. There's a
Yeah.
very good question that has come up in the chat, and I just think that this is an appropriate, sort of a connection. So the person is asking, what are some of the key contractual terms that new renters should be aware of in the rental contract? So in other words, when the contract is in front of them, what are some of the things that they should be taking notice of?
First thing is the term of the contract, like how long the contract is for. That is first 1 year. So after 1 year, it's not that you have to leave the place. Nobody can tell you to move out because they want to sell the place, or nobody can tell you to move out to do anything else other than the owner is moving in with his family, or any close member within the immediate family is moving in. That's the only scenario when they can let you go from that place. So after that 1 year, you automatically go into a month-on-month occupancy. Contract remains there, but it is a month-on-month occupancy, we say. You don't have to renew the contract unless you want to. Okay. So this is one of the points that you have to be sure of. Secondly, you can see a lot of people, they put conditions saying no pets, which is not allowed by law. Building condo corporation might have some kind of restriction with the size of the animal or the kind of the animal, but a landlord cannot tell you that, hey, you cannot have a pet, because that is not as per the tenancy code. Other than that, you need to have a rental insurance. Absolutely anything goes wrong, that will cover your belongings. You are not supposed to cover the landlord's belongings in that contract. So these are the couple of points that would come first. Anything other than that, which is racially not right, anything which is not acceptable socially, like nobody can tell you what you need to do, what you can't do in that apartment. When you are taking, you are almost kind of living in your own house. So you have a privacy. Landlord cannot interfere with your privacy. If they have to come check, they have to give you 24 hours of notice. If they have to do any kind of work, anything, they have to look at arranging an accommodation for you guys.
So,
Thank
for
you.
example, if the landlord wants to do some renovation in his house, which is currently rented out, um, what's the procedure to do that?
So you can, if it is a major renovation, you can have a negotiation with the tenant, and then you can kind of compensate them for their moving, and depending on how the negotiation goes. But if it is within the tenancy period and you have no right to remove them, so you have to arrange for a separate accommodation for them. And once the renovation is done, you can bring them back in the rental.
Okay, okay. Thanks a lot, Dave. We might get back to you with some other questions. In the meantime, I will get back to Nitin. Hey, Nitin.
Hi.
So since you're from the mortgage side, so how quickly can you take out a mortgage when you land in Canada? Is it possible on the day one?
Um, Honestly, day one would not be possible because what happens is that you just for a mortgage, a bank needs to look at your repayment capabilities, right? So technically, you need to be employed for at least 3 months on your job. You know, you need to, but that's the way that a bank would kind of at least look at your entire employment. Uh, Usually, companies have 3 month, 6 month probation periods as well. We as a bank don't really have that restriction in terms of probation, but we at least want to know that you have been working for at least 3 months. It should be like full-time employment, self-employment. It's gauged on a case-to-case basis. Yeah.
Okay. And as we know, this credit score is a very good indicator of finding a person to be given mortgage. So can you
Right.
tell us some of the best ways to build a strong credit score in this?
Sure. What I've seen in the past is, I've had clients who've come to me who've been in the country for 2 years, right? They don't really have a credit score. The reason why they don't have it, even after being in this country for so long, is because they don't have any products on their name. Any product, what I would mean is products that have repayment capacity. It could be as small as owning your own telephone, your own mobile bill. Usually people, what they do is that they kind of get their mobile SIM card on their spouse's name, but the score that's being built up is their spouse's, not theirs. So usually the credit score comes in as zero. So I would say, number one, you come to the country, everyone needs a mobile these days, right? So get a mobile phone on your bill, on your name, get a utility bill. It could be an internet as well. You're buying a car, buy a car if you have to. Um, get a credit card from a grade A lender. Don't go to a Walmart or a Canadian Tire, I would say, because what happens is that banks reporting standards on payments that are used, they basically report it back to the credit bureau that, okay, X amount was used, X amount has been paid back. So the score starts building up in that manner. I would say, yeah, that's basically how you would build up a good credit score for yourself.
We have got a question from Somak, and
Sure.
he's asking that does the rental payment count towards a credit score in Canada?
Which payment again? Sorry.
The rental payment.
The rental
For-
payment is not, it doesn't come in that category at all. No.
Okay.
So that's being paid to the owner of the property. The owner of the property doesn't update the credit bureau. That's the
Okay.
reason. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I have a
And
quick question.
yes,
Sure.
please go ahead.
I have a quick question, actually, Nitin. So, we see a lot of, women and men. I mean, they are, of course, coming in spousal visa or dependent visa, etc. And often in our community in particular, it is the man who holds the credit card and the woman is the secondary, so
The applicant.
what advice can you give, particularly women, so that and I'm not saying that get out of that marriage,
Right.
but how can they themselves sort of gain their own credit history? What advice can you give them?
So, see, most of the people that are coming, most of the spouses that are coming under spousal visas are coming maybe on a work permit. They're coming as soon as they get a PR, right? So it's not that they're coming on a tourist visa. A tourist can obviously not have a credit score in this country, right? So the advice for me first, again, I'd revert back to what I said is get some kind of a utility bill on your name. Because even if the SIN number starts with a different, all SIN numbers start differently, right? A PR SIN starts with 5, work permit with 9. So whatever it is, get a utility bill on your name at least, or even go to a bank, get a credit card, even if it's for $1,000. Don't overutilize your credit limit. For newcomers, I would say keep it below 50%. If you use 60%, suppose 600 out of $1,000, go pay that 100 right away, even before the bill statement comes out. So yeah, keep that as low as possible. So yeah, so that will actually help.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. One last thing from your side. So while buying a new home, so what are the incentives that the government provides for these first-time home buyers?
Okay. There are a few incentives that the government's come out with. Number one, people who don't really have a lot of down payment, they can buy a property at minimum down. There's a slab when it comes to minimum down payments. So the slab, it's as low as 5%. So if you're buying a property for 600,000, then the slab works in this way. So up to 500,000, you pay 5%, which is about 25,000. For the additional 100, it's 10%. So another 10,000 for that. So 35,000 in total, and that's your down payment for the house, as long as you qualify on the income criteria as well. So if not, then obviously more down payments required to fulfill the qualification criterias of each and every bank, or rather the insurance company, because your mortgage is insured by there are 3 insurers in Canada: CMHC, Sagen, and Canada Guarantee. They have the thresholds. So you need to kind of fulfill that criteria as well. But it's as low as 5% to answer your question. There's a land transfer incentive as well for first-time home buyers, which is about $4,000, which your lawyer can help you avail of. So that's another incentive. Now, the government also has other programs in terms of your first-time home savings account, which is about $8,000. So what you can do is that you can put in $8,000 in the HFSA account. That's the abbreviation for it. And you can claim incentives, basically deductions on your income by the end of the year. Again, RRSP is another form where you can withdraw $15,000 out of your RRSP account as well. So these are some of the incentives that the government's laid out for first-time home buyers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I saw a raised hand from Arjun. Do you
Yes,
have any question, Arjun?
yes, I have a small doubt. Since I am new to this country, I just signed an agreement with my landlord for about it's a 1 year lease. So, what are the chances in case, God forbid, if we have to break that lease? What are the consequences for it?
So Arjun, great question. So in that case, see, you're binded with that lease for 1 year. But if you want to break it, if you have some emergency, you can always talk to the landlord and you can sublease it or assign it to somebody else, provided the landlord accepts. Okay, so that would be a great way to navigate the situation.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. We have one more question. We got to know about two types of private rental market. It's primary and secondary. How can realtors like yourselves protect renters in the secondary market? So first of all, what secondary market and primary market, if you can tell, that will be great. And then answer this one.
So primary and secondary market, I am not sure what that means. If the person who has put that question can.
That's me.
Okay.
Okay.
So
the primary rental market is the one where you're getting you're renting the apartment directly from the person who owns the building. So in other words, I'm considering here that it's a building, right? So you're going and you're getting the renting from them. A secondary market is when people like ourselves have a house and want to put our basement on rent. It can be legal or illegal, because this session kind of is about a legality and illegality as well. I am more concerned about particularly international students who come and rent these illegal basement apartments. So in today's session, if somebody is hearing this and they're actually renting out from a landlord who owns a house, whether legally or illegally, how can we direct them to you, Dave, for help?
So basement rentals, for any lease that you do, basically you need to have a contract. Okay, Ontario lease agreement, it is there online. Everybody can see it. It has all the rights mentioned in it for the tenants. Now, if you are renting out your basement as well as a landlord, you need to have an agreement in place. Doesn't matter whether it is illegal or illegal, right? Now, at times we have seen that people are not making those agreements. They are trying to take cash and that kind of stuff. I always suggest newcomers not to fall for that kind of stuff, because there are two kind of agreements. One is written, one is verbal. Okay, so as long as you have the communication over an email about negotiating that place with the landlord, and you have some monetary transactions wherein you have paid that landlord e-transfers or any kind of that stuff or checks, and you have some bills which is coming to that particular address or you have an ID. So it is much easier for you to prove in the court that you have a verbal agreement with the landlord. So if you're a newcomer, you want to take that basement up, take it, but make sure all these points you cover. Rather than that, if it is through MLS or if it is through any corporation like CanF and all, they have rental buildings, they will have a very proper channel wherein they will run the credit check and everything and give you a proper contract.
Yeah, thank you for that, because most of the people who are coming new, they try to go where things are cheap rather than the legal way. I think your advice is very sound, and yeah, thanks for that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll move on to Ramnik now, because we have kind of shifted our discussion to the legalities of staying in the basements and all. So Ramnik, one question: if there is an illegal basement and some students are staying there or a newcomer is staying there, they know that they are staying there legally, but the basement is illegal, for example. So can they expect they can be evicted anytime?
See,
What are the laws
technically,
saving them?
in order for a landlord to rent out the basement, it has to be legal. Okay. And landlord-tenant board is not my area of practice, so I won't be able to advise you much on that. My practice basically consists of real estate conveyancing with the real estate transactions, respect to sale and purchase of real estate, whether it be commercial or residential. So if you need if any of our guests needs proper guidance on any landlord-tenant board issues, okay, if anybody is facing any issues, I'd be more than happy to share my number, and I can put you guys in touch with one of my colleagues. They practice landlord-tenant board, and they'll be able to better advise you on that question.
Okay, that sounds good. So now coming to this legalities behind the agreement of purchase and sale. So why do you think this has to be reviewed or by a lawyer like you? So since you deal with this kind of.
So, for instance, if one of our anyone who's new to Canada is planning on buying a new construction home, for instance, okay, a new construction home agreements are very lengthy, as Dave can agree on that. They're about 100 to 150 pages. Okay, a layman cannot review all the terms and conditions of the agreement. Okay, we know what to look for, and there are a lot of hidden charges and a lot of hidden clauses in the agreement that once anybody can get a lawyer to review it, and we can review it with them and point out the facts that these are the terms and conditions of the agreement, so there are no surprises at the end when the time the closing comes. Oftentimes what we see is people bypass this the lower agreement step, and when the time comes to close, right, they're faced with all these hidden charges. I've seen up to $20,000 to $50,000, I would say, right, that they were not aware of, or they don't even budget that, right? So we could help in review of the agreements, point out the charges, so the buyers are well prepared on that.
So even in such scenarios where we are going for a pre-construction buying, so what are the highlighted points that somebody should look into?
So the main factor is the developmental charges. Okay, so builders, they're all the builders would charge you development charges, but the only thing is what the development charges are, right? We could help them once we review the agreements, we can help negotiate the development charges with the builder. We can help them cap them, right? Otherwise, if you don't cap the development charges, builder could charge you anything they want.
Okay. So, and what's the cap?
Cap is that's a point of negotiation with the builder, right? It all depends on the property to property. The bigger properties have bigger development charges. Smaller properties have smaller development charges. So there's not a number we can put to the place.
So does it depend on the city, or it's purely depends
It
on
depends on
the
the city,
development?
and depends on the size of the property as well, and depends on the builder as well.
Okay. Okay.
For instance, I've seen development charges from 5,000 to, I would say, 25,000, right? So depending on the city, the builder, the price of the property, there's no set formula to calculate that.
Okay, sounds good. I'll move on to Dave again. So Dave, we have discussed about how you can help at the time of rentals. And now I'd like to know about how you can help in buying a new home.
All right.
So if
Yeah, I'll
somebody
keep it
comes.
crisp and simple so that, it's a lot of information and it's a lot of discussion that has to happen when buying a home. But the first thing that you need to do is the moment you are here, make sure that you start saving from the first day. You have different ways of saving that Nitin has mentioned very correctly. The first time home buying saving account, which is an added benefit this year government has given you in 2023, I mean. Then other than an RRSP, you can have a lot of saving. RRSP and first-time home buyer tax saving account is tax deductible. So if you put some money there, it is not taxed. So put that. For first-time home buyer saving, the amount you can save in a year is $8,000, and in your lifetime you can put $40,000 in that account. Okay. Now for RRSP, based on your income, they will set up the amount you can put per year, but you can withdraw $35,000 per person. So if you are a couple, you can withdraw $70,000 towards your down payment from RRSP, provided you have to pay it back, but that payment has to happen in next 15 years. That's a tax-free thing that you're getting, and it's a very good benefit for the first-time homebuyer. So these are a couple of things that you have to make sure you start saving from the first day. Secondly, the thing that you have to keep in mind, I always suggest, do not, in this country, buying luxury cars or luxury items is very, very easy and tempting. They will give you credit immediately. They will try to get you the best monthly payments, but do not fall for any kind of this kind of luxury unless you secure a home, because this impacts your mortgage heavily. Okay, so make sure that you do not invest in those unless you buy a home for yourself. I would say a right time of buying a home after landing in this country is 1 year, between 1 year to 2 years, if you work on it correctly. And you can buy it with as low as $25,000 to $30,000 to start with. You don't have to buy the dream home at the first. You buy it, and then the growth is immense, whatever we have seen over last couple of last decade, right? So start there. And I would say the only thing I see renting a property for long is just a pure cash burn, because you are not owning the place. You are basically paying the mortgage for your landlord. So why would you do that? Because if you start owning quickly, then you start saving in your principal, the amount, whatever you pay in mortgage, as well as you start building the equity, and that growth, whatever we have seen, is amazing. So we do a lot of this first-time home buying sessions in which we discuss in length what this entire process is all about. So anything you guys want to know ever, feel free to reach me. You can just Google Realtor Dave Chaudhary and you'll see everything online.
We have got some exciting questions. So first is, what are the down payment requirements for pre-con homes?
So for pre-con, typically you can, for the first-time home buyers, you can go as low as 5 to 10% depending on the builder. On top of my mind, Daniels is one of the biggest builder, Mattamy and Daniels, I'm sure you guys know. So they have a lot of this first-time home buying programs that they run, in which you can secure for yourself very good houses at a lower down payment. But to answer the question, it's 5 to 10%.
Okay. We have another question is, what to do if the house is taking a long time to build? Can we get any deposits back?
No, I would say no, because builder contracts are pretty much favoring the builders in this country. But what you can do is, like, if in case there is a cancellation of a project, almost 90% of the time you get the deposit back, unless there is a huge kind of fraud or anything that we have not seen. Most of the times you will get the deposit back. That is pretty much safe for you.
Okay.
But you
So
don't
now,
want that to happen, because you are investing in something which is going to come in future, and the equity growth you will lose in case that happens. So I always say go with the best of the builders. Do not go for like some small time builders because you're getting it for slightly cheaper price, because understand those builders never meant to build those places. They just want to take your money and put it in a bank and make some money.
okay, thanks a lot with so many answers, and really appreciate your time to share your knowledge along with us. Thank you, everyone. I'll hand it over to Sutama for moving this forward.
Thank you so much. It's a fantastic session, and I am so grateful to all you participants. We will share your information with not only the Purbayan members, but also to all those people who have registered. We had an online Google registration. We had quite a few there. So we are going to, share your information with them. And also, as I told you before, Toronto Metropolitan University is dedicated to this Immigration and Settlement Studies program, which is a master's and a PhD policy studies program. So if you guys give consent, then I will show this recording to my class, which I teach there. And, just for to show what grassroots level organizations can do. Thank you very much. I do want to acknowledge Shondip Chaudhuri, Roshanjit Roy, and Bashav Goswami, who've paved the way for us to do these kinds of newcomers meet. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.